Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Halloween is over. I forgot it was Halloween. I just forgot it was Halloween. I was too busy living my life to be concerned about candy and ghosts and goblins. But anyway, if you were participating, I hope you had a great time. So today, I'm going to talk about, going to talk about what people are able to give you. People are only able to give you what they have to give. And being that this is a universe of giving, which is quite interesting because the earth is always and constantly giving something. And we are always constantly giving something. Even if we are being a recluse, we are giving something, meaning we are giving a lack to the world. We are giving a lack of energy. We are withdrawing ourselves from something. Therefore, we are giving a lack to people around us, to the universe as a whole. Just like someone can give you a bad attitude, which is a lack of love, they give a lack of themselves. And so plants give us things, animals give us things, people give us, experiences. So we're always receiving. And the reason why we're always receiving is because the universe is always giving. And this is interesting because, excuse me, this is interesting because if you can understand that this is the process, then you can understand that what people are giving you is all that they have to give, but they must give it. They must give it because it's embedded in the universe, it's embedded in our soul, it's embedded in everything. They must give something, and they cannot give what they do not have to give. So the only thing that they can give is what they hold within themselves. And so a lot of people give, what was that? A lot of people give attitude, they give misery, they give suffering, they give all of these things because that's all they have to give. And what I mean by that is that's what dwells within them, and that is what they have to give. If someone has love within them, then they will have that to give. They will be able to sustain that. Not just give it 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 times, but they'll be able to sustain it because that which dwells within you is what you're giving at all times. Even if they're not doing anything physically. Even if someone isn't saying, I hate your guts. I don't know what that, okay. Even if they're not saying, I hate your guts, or I don't like you, or I wish you were dead, or whatever people say when they're super angry and in a rage, they're thinking it. And that is energy being given out to the universe. So someone can say, I love you, but what they're truly giving is something else. And they can't help it. They can't help it. The soul must give something because people are always thinking, they're always feeling. We are always thinking and always feeling. We are always existing. Always existing. We're always living. We're always contributing in some way, shape, fashion, or form. It has to be. And there's nothing that anybody can do about it. Even in death, people are still alive and giving what they were giving before they died. There's no way to stop it. So when you see people who are angry, understand that that's all that they have to give because that's all that's dwelling within them. When you see someone complaining, understand that that is all that they have to give because that is all that dwells within them. And it's not all, but it is the most dominant energy present. It is the most dominant energy present. The most dominant energy will always come through. Even if a person lies. If a person lies, that is energy that is being sent out because that's what they have within them. They have deceit within them. They have a lack of love within them. And so therefore it's going to come out. It's always going to happen this way. And then when I realized this, some time ago, it allowed me the understanding that I needed in order to have the compassion that was required. Compassion is required, but you have to have understanding on a soul level in order for that passion to be present. In order for that compassion to be present. It has to be. And it's benefited my life in so many ways, where I no longer am affected by those who are exuding and giving this low vibrational negative energy. I'm no longer affected by them because I know that what they are giving out has nothing to do with me. And that's the kicker right there, is most people do not understand this. They believe if someone treats them like crap, it's because of them. And that's when they get defensive. But I can tell you this, a person who is not solid in who they are will become something else. A person who is not solid in who they are will become something else, and do it quite easily and quickly. How many times has someone come up to you and said something that you didn't like, that rubbed you the wrong way, that triggered you, and you went off on them? You came at them with the same energy that they came at you with. And the only reason why that was able to happen is because the only reason why that was able to happen, that sounds so weird. That was able to happen. Why does that sound funky? Yeah, I don't know, it sounds weird. But anyway, the reason why that was able to happen is because you were not solid in who you were at that time. You weren't solid. You didn't know who you were. You weren't solid in love. Oh, I could have went around all this. Yes, but now there's a big old green truck. I can't do anything. Hey, you're close to me. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh Jesus. Okay, I'll do it right here. Sorry, I'm coming in. You weren't solid in that moment. You didn't know who you truly were at the time. You didn't know, and so therefore you became something else. You became the other person. And this happens with mediocrity. You know, I see it in the workplace a lot. You know, people, you know, they come in, especially when a person first starts a job. They come in all gung-ho, yeah, new job, new position, I'm coming, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do my job well, I'm going to be good at it. And then you meet up with the people of mediocrity. You meet up with the people who actually experienced the same thing that you're experiencing. So you come in gung-ho, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do a good job, and you're trying to learn the system, you're trying to learn the way, and then you meet up with the people who are already there, and they're like, oh, you don't have to do all that. You just do this. They show you shortcuts. They show you that you can get away with things. They show you that you can do the least amount of work and get paid the same. This is what happens. And before you know it, you're making faces and you're condemning the agency or the company and people around you, and you're talking about what they're doing wrong, and you become mediocre. You become less than the person you walked in being. But the thing is, you didn't know who you were at that time, which is why you became something else. I'm saying, people, when you're solid in who you are, you don't allow anybody to change you. When you're solid in who you are, you stay true to who you are, and you don't allow anyone to change that. And it's not that they're changing it. You don't allow anyone to convince you to change. That's the thing. But understand this, if you're changing to mediocrity, that's something that you desired in the first place. And it was hidden. You didn't see it. And the reason why is because you didn't know who you were. You did not know who you were at that time. And I use were because we're not always the same people. We are different. With each passing day, we become different. We learn something different, we absorb something different, and we change who we are. Even if it's backsliding, we become more degraded. Oh yes, you can learn something and become great, but you can also become mediocre and more mediocre. Mediocrity is something that it has degrees, it has variation, it has levels. On the spectrum, it's from one end of the range to the other end of the range. We're constantly changing. But the goal is to improve ourselves. But you can't do that if you don't know who you are. You can't do that if you don't know that you're so easily persuaded. You can't do that if you don't know that that mediocrity dwells within you, and that's something that you would like. It's especially here in America, you know, people love the idea of having a lot and not having to work for it. And I'm not saying you have to work for it, but in terms of love, you have to work for it. And the only reason why we have to work for it, the only reason why we have to work towards being more loving, is because we're so lacking in it. So of course it's a lot of work. We're off course by a lot. And this is why it seems like such, you know, a huge mountain to climb in order to see any progress, is because we're so degraded. But that shouldn't be a deterrent. I could say, or I can say, that when I was younger and I first started learning about this stuff, it was a deterrent for me. I was like, how? Because I was in such a dark place, I didn't know how to get out of it. I didn't know what I know now, but, you know, through countless hours of watching videos and reading and understanding, watching people and trying to understand, I was able to change. And now it's effortless. It's effortless because perhaps it's because I got into the groove of doing it. I got into the groove of learning. I got into the groove of noticing, absorbing. Oh, okay, I'll do this. Okay. All right, universe, just left it wide open for me. Bust it wide open. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, it was difficult growing up, because when you're lost, you're lost. And the thing is, you don't know you're lost. You just feel the frustration of it. It's not something that you're like saying, you know what, I'm lost. At some point, you do realize this. And that is a major accomplishment, to realize that you're lost. To realize that you're in a place where stagnation is present. It's one thing to live in stagnation and not understand it and just have the feeling of it. And then it's something completely different when you realize you are stagnated. Why? You know what did I have? Hold on a second. Maybe it's this coffee. I don't know. Nespresso has this coffee called Princess Cake. I think it's Princess Cake. It's a new one. I don't know if it's a new stand, but it just came out maybe 2 weeks ago, and I love it. It has a raspberry flavor to it, like a hint of raspberry right at the end. It's non-flavored if you don't have Nespresso, but if you do have Nespresso, try it out. It's really good. Woo, Lord Jesus, the Lord is shining upon me. I've been sun-kissed. Sun-kissed, oh Zachary. But yeah, when you're lost, when you are lost, it's very difficult to realize that you are lost. But when you realize that you are, it's such a accomplishment to get in that place, to be in that place, to have that realization, that knowing, that understanding, because that's the place where change can be had. That's the place where change can be made and experienced. And if you change, everybody else gets to experience that change as well. And that's why I made a decision for myself to, when I realized all these things that I'm talking about, that I have talked about in the past, I realized that life isn't this thing that just happens to you. It's something that you have complete control over. And I remember hearing this growing up as a teenager, as a young adult, but I didn't get it. And the reason why I didn't get it is because I was lost. I did not have the awareness that they had in order to understand what they were saying. They had the awareness, so therefore they understood what they were saying. I did not have the awareness, so therefore I could not understand what they were saying. But now that I have chosen to find that, to experience self-discovery and change, and to learn the ways of how life works, because that's all I'm doing, is learning how life works, learning how the soul works, learning how the universe works, learning how the soul interacts with the universe, learning and understanding that the soul is part of the universe. It's all one organism, if you will. And we're all cooperative components to one another. And so, if just like a cancer cell in the body can wreak havoc on the whole, or in a certain area, it's the same thing in the universe. And so when we hold negative energy, we transform things around us, because that's what cancer does. It transforms everything around it. It makes it inoperable. It makes it unusable. It makes it non-functional. That's what cancer is. And if you look at what we're doing on this planet, we are making the planet non-functional. We are making the planet unusable. We're destroying it, and that's what cancer is. And we can call it, we have the label of cancer, but really what it is degradation. It's just degradation, and it's happening all over the place. And it will continue to happen as long as we are degraded. In all the creations and inventions, because like I said, you can't stop giving. Which is why we're constantly creating, we're moving, forward, and just like in our technology, we're moving in a fast pace. We're creating like crazy new things. We're being innovative. But understand that all the things that we are creating is creating degradation. Look at these fancy cars that we have. Creating what? Degradation. Pollution. It's the laws that we create. What does it create? Inequality. Frustration. Degradation. Accidents. Degradation. Death. Degradation. It's happening, and you can't escape it. We won't be able to escape it. We can't stop. Look what we're doing to the whole manufacturing thing, and all the gases and that we're putting into the atmosphere. And now we're having climate change, and now the polar caps, whatever, ice caps, whatever they're called, they're melting. Degradation. The balance is off a lot, and we're experiencing it. It's just all these things that are happening to us is just an event, a physical event to show us where we are. This climate change isn't something that's outside of us. It's there because of us. People die not because of things outside of us. Like someone may be hit by a car. Someone may get hit by a car, accident on a motorcycle. It doesn't matter what it is. Someone can be working at a factory and get injured. They can even die. All these things can happen to us, and all these things are events based on our soul. Our soul is what's making all this possible, because we are creators. The Creator put creators here to create, because we are made in the image of. And so the same power that we have to create is the same power that the Creator has to create. It's just on a different level. The Creator can create on a different scale, but that's only because of the amount of love that dwells within the Creator's soul. That's it. That's it. And all the things that I'm saying, like, I truly understand. I understand that now. And I didn't understand this growing up. I did not. And therefore I had no control over it. Well, I felt like I didn't have any control over it, but I had complete control over it. But I just felt like I didn't. And that's because I was lost. But now I'm found. And there's so much more to learn. And there's so much more I want to learn. There's so much more I want to be. And that requires me to be active, consciously active. Because I'm always active. We're always active. We're never not active. We're always active. When we're making right decisions, when we're making wrong decisions, we're active. But to be conscious and aware of the type of activity that I'm doing, the type of activeness that is going on, that I'm exuding, the type of participation that I am putting out there. How you participate is going to dictate how you experience. So when someone comes up to you and they treat you badly, use that. Say, hey, look, this is what I'm experiencing. All right, let's figure this out, because I don't like when people come up to me doing this. And also understand that you don't have to respond in like. That's probably the first thing you should know, is never respond in like. Never respond in like. Never respond in like. Always respond from how you want to be and how you want to be treated at all times. So if you're miserable and someone treats you nice and you're like, oh, you treat me nice, I treat you nice, never respond in like. Respond from who you truly are, because you will not learn anything otherwise. All you'll learn is to be a roach. A roach. Why do I say a roach? Because there was a movie called Mimic, and roaches mimic. That's what they do. That's just what they do. So you don't want to mimic. You want to be your own being. Just because, and you see this a lot. If you're nice to me, I'm nice to you. If you're an asshole to me, I'm an asshole to you. If you got a problem, I got a problem. That's how people live. And I can tell you, these people who live like that are falling apart. Degradation left and right, up and down, inside and out. And they don't know how to change it. They don't know how to change it because this is how they were taught. This is how they were taught. And that's fine for you if that's how they were taught. What's important is that you don't live that way. Even if you were taught to be that way, it's your responsibility, it's your ability, it's your opportunity to be different. I was taught a whole bunch of degraded ways to live. All kinds of degraded ways to live. And I chose not to do that. It didn't feel right. Even though my mother was telling me certain things that were not loving, it didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right. And I cannot explain to you why I had the feeling that I had, nor can did Jesus understand why he saw things differently. And no, I'm not claiming to be a Jesus or Jesus. I'm just saying there's certain things that you just can't explain because you don't know yet. At some point Jesus did understand why he was different. He doesn't understand. He didn't and doesn't understand why, but he now understands why he just doesn't understand why it was him. But there are many hymns throughout the universe. Just not him. I mean, there's different souls who had the same experience that he did, the same clarity and understanding about things that he had. So, there's things that you have, abilities that you have that you can't understand why. Some people are just great at math and they don't understand why they're great at math. Some people can just see something and create it or recreate it in art form and they don't understand why, they just know they're able to do it. And growing up, I just knew that certain things just didn't feel right. I'm like, I don't know why I can't do that. Fighting wasn't something that that I was into, but I was taught, you have to defend yourself and fight back. That never felt right to me. And it still doesn't feel right to me. And now I understand why it didn't feel right to me, because it's not part of the loving laws that the Creator has set forth. If someone wants to fight, you don't fight back because you don't respond in like. You don't respond in like. You respond from love. Not based on what someone else is doing, not based on what someone else is saying. You do it because these people, they just jumping. These people like I just had all these cars try to jump in front of me. Well, 2 of them did, but they jumped in front of the person in front of me. There's people behind me trying to go around me, but it's like, do I respond in like? Because they're being super aggressive on purpose, going around, jumping ahead. You hear them peeling out back there? See, people are just angry, but you don't respond in like. Never respond in like. That probably should be the title of this video. Never respond in like. Just respond in love. If that's your goal, if that's what you want, respond in love. If you want to respond in hatred, then do that. And I can guarantee you that's something that you need to do for yourself and for someone else. Because if you want to respond, or if you want to attack or respond in a negative, forceful way, You need to see that. You need to do that in order for you to get your consequence, and understand that you doing that is someone else's consequence. So you are a cooperative component, but you're not a cooperative component to love. But by doing that, you are exuding and expressing and showing and delivering and contributing to a bigger cause, the bigger vision, the bigger picture. That's what's happening. You're showing other people. I mean, if you were to attack someone, you're going to create karma, but you're going to create pain, and you're going to see that pain. And that pain is being presented to you so that you can see it. Because there's a part of, for most people, when they do something hurtful to someone, after they've done it, they see the impact that they have. They may not acknowledge it with the other person, but inside they feel it. And that's a seed that has been planted. And it happens again, and another seed that has been planted. And before you know it, you have these big thing of seeds in you, and you're like, okay, I get it. I see it now. It's growing. My karma has increased. My body is degrading. My work life is failing. My personal life is failing. This is what this is. This is the representation of unlovingness is. A failing in your life. Suffering, pain, discomfort. It's all discomfort. People interacting with you in a negative way. It's because you've been putting that energy out there. But that's all you knew how to give at the time. And so you meet up with people who only have that to give as well. Because like attracts like, but I can tell you, don't respond in it. Don't respond in it. I mean, if you know what's best for you, and most people don't know what's best for them, but if you don't want to experience this, and here's the thing, I decided I don't want to experience that. I have looked at people fall apart. I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want to fall apart like you. I don't want to experience what you're experiencing. I don't want to, all that stress and anger and fighting back and forth and arguing and plotting. I don't want any part of that. That is an awful feeling. It keeps your body tense. There's no relaxation. There's no peace. There's nothing. Nothing like that. There's no happiness, no joy. And so I leave that shit alone. I'm like, nope. I don't try to control people anymore. It's not that I don't care what they do, but I don't care to control people anymore. I care about people. I care about their well-being. And I care more about their well-being than most care about their own well-being. But that doesn't give me the right to try to force to change it. That's not my place to make them different. I can't walk up to them and paint their face. I can't walk up to them and change their soul. They have to be allowing for that. They have to want that for themselves in order for that to happen. Now, I can be a cooperative component by presenting truth, by presenting love, by presenting understanding, presenting compassion. I can do all of these things. And that is the way to help someone. To help them see that, number one, it's possible. Number two, you're deserving of it. And number three, not everybody in the world is out to get you, because some people really feel that way. They are so fearful, and they think that people are out to get them. They are fearful of their jobs. It's like, just be a loving, truthful person, and everything will work. The universe will support you. The universe will support you. The universe has supported me for 16 years at this agency. I have been abused left and right, and somehow I'm one of the few standing. One of the few standing. There are so many people who were let go, and I stayed so many times. And the people who were unloving, the people who were untruthful, the people who did not want to see change in the loving direction, in the truthful direction, they're all gone. And so the universe has, because I like where I work, I feel very comfortable there. And recently, over 50 people were laid off. And somehow I'm there. So I'm doing something right in the eyes of the universe. And so the universe will always protect you. Even if the people who you think are protecting you are no longer there. The universe will make sure that you are protected. And I don't feel cocky about it. I don't feel like, oh, I'm safe, nothing can happen to me. No. If I change, then yes, something can happen to me. But I'm choosing not to change. I'm choosing not to hate. People are, like I said, people are leaving. It's sad to see some people go, but some people are moving on to bigger and better things. And one thing I notice about the universe is that the universe will sometimes, because people don't understand its operation, this universe is always trying to improve the lives of people, to get them to correct themselves so that they can have a better experience. And there are people, I don't know what the hell you're doing, girl. Are you on your phone? Oh, you're just not able to drive right. So there are people who, or the universe will move people around. If you see, sir, you were going the wrong direction on this freeway. I mean, on this road. And what in the world? This is what you get when you come to the hood. There's all kinds of stuff going on. All kinds of stuff going on. So the universe, if you're unhappy, right? Let's just say, because this is what's going on currently, at where I work. There are people who are extremely unhappy. Are they unhappy with some of the things that are going on at the workplace? Absolutely. Are they unhappy with a lot of things at home? Definitely. Because it starts at home first. Your personal life is what dictates how you work. So, you have these people who are unhappy, and the universe knows that you're unhappy, and the universe knows that you're miserable, and the universe knows that you feel stuck. And that desire of not being stuck anymore, that desire of having a better experience, the universe hears that and will move you, remove you, and place you somewhere else without you actually doing it. The universe will actually do it for you. And sometimes the universe will take an action, but it will have many, the intent is the same, but it will look different to us. So some people will be fired, some people will be let go, some people will be offered a position where they can thrive and rise and grow and expand. But the universe is working in your favor. The universe is always working in your favor. And because of that, you're always supported. So these people who are laid off, people say, oh, they're assholes, blah, 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 blah. There's this one person I'm telling you, like, this person's evil. Just evil. Angry evil. But they're not happy where they are. So what does the universe do? The universe removes you from that situation and puts you in a different one where you can grow. Because obviously you can't get what you need to better yourself where you're at. So the universe has to move you somewhere else. And the universe did that to me. 16 years ago, a little over 16 years ago, I was fired from a job from my hometown. And I ended up here. Where I have been exposed to things that have taught me so much. Where I have been able to grow because I didn't feel like I could grow. The feeling and the confidence and my abilities that I see in myself today, that I know in my being today, I did not see that back then. And I don't think I ever could have, because I was in an environment that sustained how I was feeling. So I had to be removed from that place and placed in a different location in order to see something different. I needed a different view so I could have a different perspective. So sometimes, not even sometimes, all the time, we are being moved and shifted around. Sometimes we're given opportunities to do it ourselves, and sometimes the universe does it for us. But it's all in love. It's all to help us. It's all to benefit us. It's all to show us how we can improve ourselves. And we do that by looking at ourselves or looking at other people as mirrors to ourselves. Because where I come from, I didn't see any greatness. I didn't see that. I see a lot of greatness here in Los Angeles. I see a lot of opportunity. I see people with drive. I see people with motivation. I see people with dreams. I did not see any of that in my hometown at all. Fresno is a very mediocre place, let me tell you. You grow up in a family where things remain the same. You become one of them. You have offspring. The same thing happens again. And that is what is sustained. But here in Los Angeles, it's kind of weird. It's not weird, but it's different. For those who live here and they struggle, it's the same thing. But sometimes the fast pace is something that people kind of they kind of black out. You know, they block it out, I should say. You know, when there's a lot going on, they block it out, and the only thing that they have is let's see what's going on, is their own little world. And sometimes they have to be removed from that in order to be in a place where they can let loose and think and allow things to just happen. So it just depends on what you need, and the universe will move you if you so desire it. The universe will move you if you so desire it. But if you don't desire it, the universe will leave you right where you're at. Because right where you're at is where you need to be in order to sustain how you feel. That's how it works. You know? So, I'm sorry, my camera's all crooked. So anyway, that's, you know, what I wanted to say. Just understand, like I said in the beginning, that people cannot give you what they don't have. When you see people in a bad mood, that's because that's all that they can give. They don't have anything for them to make them happy. There's nothing to be happy about. There's nothing to be joyful about. But it has nothing to do with you, but it has everything to do with you. Meaning, that is a lesson for you to see. And sometimes, it's not a lesson. Sometimes it's just a reminder that, hey, because even though I understand this, sometimes I need reminders. You look at people, you're like, wow, I see your situation, and I know why you're like that. There's a lot of miserable people where I work. The majority of them are miserable. They're just unhappy people. So what do you do about that? There's nothing you can do about it but look at them and understand, and then have compassion for them, and then keep it pushing. You know, help them where they're willing to be helped, and leave them alone otherwise. You know, offer assistance. If they say no, then no. Then that means they have chosen a life of misery, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you should want to do about it, because it's their life. Allow them to live their life. Now, if they're doing something to you, then that's different. That's when you say, hey, look, you know what? I don't appreciate that. That's not cool. And if you know you need to report something, then report something. But it's really that simple. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful Friday, a wonderful weekend. I know you're looking forward to Thanksgiving, because I know I am. I want some food. Anyway, you enjoy your weekend, and I will talk to you guys later. All right. Bye now.